as you can see, I don't have my bookcase behind me. I'm in a different room than I am usually in. And so I'm using this ring light over here to light me. And occasionally, as you can see, it catches my glasses and it makes me look like I have weird little eyes. So if you see that happening, I'm not becoming possessed by something, it's just the light over there that looks weird in the reflection of my glasses. So we've been covering, I don't have to do any review for this group. I think everybody's been here for the whole session. But as we have been doing, we're going to look at the back to basics today. This week for the art classes, the basic that they're covering, or the fundamental that they're covering, is space. And so being a little clever with that idea of space, decided to look at the comic premise today and coming up with sketches. And the comic premise is the space in between what the audience expects and what the comic is delivering. So it's that same idea that we've talked about before of shattering assumptions, where we lead the audience to believe one story and then we shatter their assumption with a second story, and that's what makes them laugh. But we've really kind of looked at that in terms of just individual jokes. We've done some joke writing, some gag writing, even some visual comedy writing as well. But we haven't looked at it in terms of a whole sketch thus far. We've looked at some of these types of sketches, like there was the day a few weeks ago where we looked at the different types of sketches, and then I showed some cartoons that went along with each one. But we haven't looked at how we can apply this idea of the comic premise, or the shattering assumptions, or this space between what we have the audience expecting and what we deliver. We haven't looked at that in terms of creating a whole story arc with that. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. Just a quick review of that idea. As I said, comic premise is that space in between what the audience is expecting and what the audience gets. So, for example, there's a classic old joke that goes, a man came up to me on the street the other day. He said, I hadn't had a bite in weeks, so I bit him. So again, first story, we think that he wants a bite to eat. Second story is the person in the joke actually bites someone. And you even see this in like birthday cards and stuff. This kind of like one-liner joke. There was a birthday card I had one time that said, "A toast to your best year ever." That was 1976, wasn't it? I got one time where it was a cowboy sitting on a tiny little pony, and the pony was saying, "I wanted to sing you the happy birthday song." And then you open it up and it says, "But I'm a little horse." So that's the idea behind what we're doing. Sorry, I'm looking at Evie's thing here about. Oh, sorry. Yes. So you're right. I should clarify. A sketch is a drawing, but a sketch is also what we call a short comedy scene. So, like if you watch Saturday Night Live or something like that, those little comedy scenes are sketches, or like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, you might consider a sketch. So that's what we're going to be looking at, is these little comic scenes or little comic stories, not sketching as it is related to drawing. So thank you for catching that. That is definitely something, especially when you guys are also doing art classes, that's something to clarify for sure. So one of the key ingredients to a comedy sketch is one major important thing. And to demonstrate that important thing, I'd like you to try, if you can, take your hand and take the tip of your middle finger and try to hit it to your palm, and try to make as loud of a sound as you can. Probably is not that loud, right? Now, if you add in your thumb and take the tip of your middle finger and press it against your thumb until it can't hold it anymore, and then you get, maybe you can hear that. And then we're able to get a loud sound. So what we're putting in there is resistance. What we're putting in there is conflict. And most comedy sketches are based on some kind of conflict, that there's something that the main character has to overcome. I want to show you a quick little sketch that illustrates this point exactly. So you know me, I always have to give examples. So here we go. Probably the primest example of a conflict sketch.
Me out with the crowds. Buy me some peanuts, popcorn, crackers.
Beautiful package of Papa Jacks.
Papa Jacks. Will you keep quiet, Sebastian?
Excuse me, please.
Sebastian, please. Don't interrupt my act. Sebastian.
Oh, Mr. Blowhurst, I didn't see the lights there. I forgot about them.
What in the world are you doing? Why interrupt my act like this?
Well, look, Mr. Blowhurst, I mean, after all, if you're in a ballpark, they always sell peanuts and popcorns and things like that.
I know that, Sebastian, but not in front of him. I beg his pardon, friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, and also the children, will you excuse me for a minute, please?
Thank you. What do you want to do?
Look, Mr. Blowhurst,
Right? What are you doing?
I love baseball.
Well, we all love baseball.
When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guys' names on the team so when I go to see them in that St. Louis ballpark, I'll be able to know those fellas?
Well, now, is it all right, folks? All right.
Excuse me, I want to find out the fellas' names.
As long as it's okay with
I'm
the
crazy
audience.
about baseball.
Will you stand still? Pick up your hat. Go pick up your hat.
Okay.
Now, look. Then you'll go and peddle your popcorn and don't interrupt the act anymore?
Yes, sir.
All right. But you know, strange may seem, they give ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
Funny names?
Nicknames, pet names.
Not as funny as my name, Sebastian Dinwiddie.
Oh, yes.
Funnier than that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name on first base.
Who?
The fellow playing first base for St. Louis.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first?
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it. Why not? The man's entitled to it.
Who is?
Yes.
So who gets it?
Why shouldn't he? Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it.
Whose wife?
Yes. After all, the man earns it.
Who does?
Absolutely.
Well, all I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no. What is on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, don't change the players.
I'm not changing nobody.
Take it easy.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third. We're not talking about him.
How did I get on third base?
You mentioned his name.
If I mention a third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third?
No, who's playing first?
Stay off of first, will you?
Well, what do you want me to do?
Now, what's the guy's name on third base?
Well, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third.
There I go, back on third again.
Well, I can't change their names.
Will you please stay on third base, Mr. Broadhurst?
Now, what is it you want to know?
What is the fella's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
Third
base. You got an outfield?
Oh, sure.
St. Louis has got a good outfield?
Absolutely.
The left fielder's name?
Why?
I don't know. I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, I just thought I'd tell you.
Then tell me who's playing left field.
Who is playing first?
Stay out of the infield!
Don't mention any names out here.
I want to know what's the fella's name in left field.
What is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who is on first?
I don't know. Third base.
Oh, take it easy. Take it easy, man.
And the left fielder's name?
Why?
Because.
Oh, he's center field. He's center. Will you pick up your hat, please? Pick up your hat and
Look.
stop this. Oh, look,
Mr.
please.
Broadhurst.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You got a pitcher on the team?
Wouldn't this be a fine team without a pitcher?
I don't know. Tell me the pitcher's name.
Tomorrow.
You don't want to tell me the date?
I'm telling you, man.
Then go ahead.
Tomorrow.
What time?
What time what?
What time tomorrow you're going to tell me who's pitching?
Now listen. Who is not pitching? Who is
I'll
on?
break your arm. You say who's on first?
Why come up here and ask?
I want to know what's the pitcher's name.
What's on second?
I don't know.
The
First. You got a catcher?
Yes.
The catcher's name.
Today.
Today. And tomorrow's pitching.
Now you've got it.
That's all. St. Louis has got a couple of days on the team.
Well, I can't help that. All right. What do you want me to do?
Got a catcher?
Yes.
I'm a good catcher, too, you know.
I know that.
I would like to play for the St. Louis team.
Well, I might arrange that.
I would like to catch. Now, I'm being a good catcher. Tomorrow's pitching on the team, and I'm catching.
Yes.
Tomorrow throws the ball, and the guy up bunts the ball.
Yes.
Now, when he bunts the ball, me being a good catcher, I want to throw the guy out at first base, so I pick up the ball and throw it to who?
Now, that's the first thing you've said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's all you have to do.
Is to throw it to first base.
Yeah.
Now, who's got it?
Naturally.
Who has it?
Naturally.
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 Okay.
Now, you've got it.
I pick up the ball and I throw it to naturally.
I know you don't. You throw the ball to first base.
Then who gets it?
Naturally.
Okay.
All right.
I throw the ball to naturally.
You don't. You throw it to who?
Naturally.
Well, that's it. Say it that way.
That's what I said.
You did not.
I said I throw the ball to naturally.
You don't. You throw it to who?
Naturally.
Yes.
So I throw the ball to first base and naturally gets it.
No. You throw the ball to first base.
Then who gets it?
Naturally.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not saying that.
Excuse me, folks.
All right. I'm sorry, Frank.
I throw the ball to
You
naturally.
throw it to who?
Naturally.
That's it. We'll say it that way.
That's what I'm
Don't
saying.
get excited. Now, don't get
I
excited.
throw the ball to first base
Then who gets it?
he better get it.
All right. Now, don't get excited. Take it easy.
Now I throw the ball to first base. Whoever it is drops the ball, so the guy runs to 2nd. Who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it to I don't know. I don't know. Throws it back to tomorrow. A triple play.
Yeah, it could be.
Another guy gets up and it's a long fly ball to because. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't care.
What was that?
I said, I don't care.
Oh, that's a shortstop.
All right, so some of you mentioned having seen that sketch before. Probably the most famous conflict sketch like that of all time. And it's just one simple little conflict, one simple little misunderstanding. And just like with the Wile E. Coyote cartoons where I talk about there's one joke that they hit as many different ways as they can. Same thing with this routine. You have this one little misunderstanding that they just hit from every single angle. How many different ways can we keep this misunderstanding going? And it requires that conflict for it to be funny. If at any point that Abbott suddenly goes, "Oh no, I see your misunderstanding. I see why. You're not understanding that there's their name, that I'm not asking you a question," or if Costello says, "Oh wait, no, I get it now. I'm sorry, I was misunderstanding." If at any point they're on the same page, then the whole joke is over. The whole sketch is done. So they have to have that conflict. They have to have this resistance in order to make the sketch funny. Interesting tip, that sketch is so famous and has been so popular for so long that those two guys, I think, are the only people, or maybe, if not the only people, they're certainly one of, or two of a very small group of people that are in the Baseball Hall of Fame without having played baseball or coached baseball. So that's the idea of conflict. Now, when we talk about conflicts, there are 3 types of conflict that we can write our sketches about. There's a global conflict. There's an interpersonal or local conflict, which is a conflict between 2 people, which is what that last sketch was. And then there's an inner conflict where you're dealing with something within yourself. So a global conflict is where you have, it can either be a comic character that's trying to navigate a normal world, So if you have a character that is, like a Encino Man, there's a movie called Encino Man where this Brendan Fraser plays a caveman that gets frozen or gets unfrozen from the Ice Age era, and suddenly is having to deal with the regular world from the perspective of a caveman. So that's a comic character in a normal world. Or you can have a regular character, an every person character, having to navigate a comic world. Then you have the interpersonal or local conflict that, as I said, is just like what we just watched. It's where you have a conflict between two people. The cartoons we watched a couple weeks ago with Bugs and Daffy, where Daffy keeps trying to get more applause than Bugs on the stage show. That's another example of that. The Roadrunner cartoons, Roadrunner's trying to keep from being eaten, and Wile E. Coyote is trying to catch and eat the Roadrunner. That's an interpersonal conflict. And then inner conflict is when you are the main character is having to deal with something internally. There's a movie with Tom Hanks called Big. You might have seen that movie, but it's a character where he plays a 13-year-old boy who wishes that he could be a grown-up, and suddenly the next day he's in the body of Tom Hanks, and so but he has to keep that a secret because no one would believe that he's actually a 13-year-old kid in this grown man's body. So he's having to deal with that and having to deal with that sort of internal conflict. So those are the three types of conflict that you can choose to write from when you're working on your comedic sketches. So let's see, where do I want to go next? Did that. So let's take a look at some of these comic premises, and if we are going to think with the idea of conflict in mind, or having to deal with some problem, we can let's try to brainstorm together some sketches that we might have. So we'll start with the regular situation, and what I want you all to brainstorm with me is something that could make that regular situation, some sort of conflict or some sort of obstacle to overcome, that might make that regular situation into a more comedic sketch. So, for example, the first one I have is going to the grocery store. So if the regular version of that is just you go to the grocery store, you get what you need, and you come back home. Either say out loud or type in the chat box, what are some things that could make that situation, or some obstacles that could make that situation comedic? So the first situation we're doing is going to the grocery store. So the regular version of that is you go to the grocery store, you get your groceries, come home, nothing really happens. What's something that's an obstacle or a conflict that could occur in that situation that would make it comic? And again, think about the global conflicts, the interpersonal conflicts, or the inner conflicts. All right, good. So yeah, a display falls over and suddenly everyone is covered in oranges. Getting mixed up with a robber leaving the store. Yeah, that's a good one. That would definitely change how that interaction goes, for sure. Let's see. What about this? What about cleaning up your room? If we start with that as our premise, you're cleaning up your room and suddenly what happens to make it a comedic sketch? Maybe you dumping things into your closet and you realize that there's a portal to another dimension in your closet. Or the dresser comes, I like this one, dresser comes to life. It doesn't like having clothes stuffed into it. That's very like Beauty and the Beast. Good, let's do one more. Let's say at an amusement park. You're at an amusement park. Let's imagine that it is not pandemic times, but you're at an amusement park, and what happens? Could be maybe that Ferris wheel gets shut down and you're stuck at the top. That could be one. Situation is you're at an amusement park. So you're at an amusement park in non-pandemic times. Because obviously clowns invade. I feel like clowns invading could turn any of these situations crazy. I'll suddenly find the snacks are super valuable. Very good. Excellent. Nathaniel says, room is a mess and you pick it all up, but then you see you're too lazy to pick it up, so you get a shovel and use it to pick up all the clothes, and then it gets heavy and it just falls off the shovel. Excellent. So you guys are starting to get the idea. You start with a normal premise, then you add conflict or obstacles to that premise, and you can start finding ways to turn an everyday situation into a comedic sketch. Excellent. So let's do a little activity. Does everyone have something that they can draw on and with? Very good. So what I want you to draw is oh my gosh, draw a scene of you on the last vacation you went on, except you're not allowed to draw and look at it. You have to take the paper and put it on top of your head like so, and draw your scene of you on the most recent vacation you went on. Then you're going to share it, and we're going to try to guess what it is. Okay? So take your time, do that. We'll take a couple of minutes. So you have a couple of minutes. Try to put something underneath the paper and your head, between the paper and head. If you have a notebook or a book or something you can use. But the idea is that you have to completely change your perspective on this. I have to even think of what my last vacation was. Okay. Yeah, the idea is that it's going to look like a mess, but we're going to try to figure out what it is. All right, take. If you can't think of a vacation, think of just any place that you went. It could be a time when you went to the park, or a time when you were at school, or time when you were playing out in the yard with your family. It doesn't have to be a vacation, but that was just a quick thought that I had. Basically, I just want you to draw a scene of you doing something, and we're going to try to guess what that is. Okay, so I'll start and show you mine, and see while some others are finishing up. Okay, can you see that? Does anyone have a guess? It does say Hollywood. Yeah, you're right. There is a plane. There is a plane. Yes.
To Hollywood, airport to Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone got it flying over the U.S. Yeah. So yeah, I flew from D.C. to Hollywood. I guess it wasn't really a vacation. I had work to do, but the last time I traveled anywhere, I flew from D.C. to Hollywood. Yeah, you guys got most of it. That's pretty good. Excellent. Nathaniel, I see is holding one up. Let's see what Nathaniel's got. I want to say a boat. Is it a boat? No, not a boat. Big mouth and a nose.
I'll give you. It's something comfy.
Something comfy. Is it? It looks like if you saying comfy makes me think of a clam-shaped bed.
It's me sitting on the couch.
You sitting on the couch. Excellent. All right, cool. Lily and Heather want to go?
Well, Lily takes a knife to the chest.
Is that a Mickey Mouse balloon?
Yeah. It's to illustrate going to Disney.
Went to Disneyland or Disney World. Let's see. I see a T-shirt and the symbol for starting a new paragraph. We've got some other guesses: a football field, an egg broken in half. Evie says one of those hay house thingies. I don't know what that is. Is yours also Disneyland? Oh my goodness. That's fun.
Thank you.
Anybody else have one they want to show?
I did one.
Go for it, Scott.
If no one else has any.
Go for it. You did that from the top of on the top of your head?
Yeah.
is that fishing? Is that fishing on a boat?
It's a whale watching trip.
Whale watching.
The boat actually I meant to draw it on the water, but yeah, it was a little off.
You went on a space pirate ship to go whale watching. Very good. That's really impressive. That's one of the best ones I've ever seen from the drawing on top of your head thing. Excellent. All right. So does anyone else have one they want to show before we move on to the next activity? No? Okay. So that's a good, the reason why I did this activity is because I am going to talk now about some things, some ways that you can generate ideas for writing comedy sketches. And sometimes you just have to just break yourself out of your normal train of thought. This is when I worked with a sketch comedy group many years ago. This is something that we would do. We would say, okay, think of the last time you went on vacation. Think of your favorite memory as a child. Think of and so people would draw, and then we would write down all the things that people came up with, and then we would see all of the comedic potential for sketches, because instead of trying to think, okay, what am I trying to think? I'm trying to think, let's try to think of something funny. Let's try to think of something funny. You're trying to guess what this hard to look at thing is, or hard to guess what it is thing is. And you say, worm's eye view of a head. Okay, so now we have an idea for a sketch about a worm's perspective on the world. We see, let's see, what else do we have? We have football field. So we've got an idea for a sketch about a football team. We've got an egg that's broken in half. We've got a sketch idea for cooking or baking something. And then the boat and the whale. We've got the whale watching boat. And then, as I said with Scott, he had his boat up in the sky. I said, you went with a bunch of space pirates to look at the whale. So now we've got a sketch about space pirates going whale hunting. So instead of like sitting there and trying to rack your brain on what can we write about? What can we write about? Because a lot of times you might get stuck. A lot of times just looking at that blank paper or looking at the blank screen, you just it's overwhelming. So one quick thing to get you jump started is a little activity like this, just to get you thinking about anything except the writing process at hand. So this is a fun little activity to get you started when you're trying to come up with sketch ideas. The next one, I want you to you can do on the back of this piece of paper, and write, actually, you know what, don't even write it. Just take it and tear it in half. Tear it in half long ways like this. And write down somewhere between 5 and 10 of your favorite things. It could be things that you like to do. It can be things you like to eat. It can be music that you like to listen to, TV shows that you like. However you interpret things you like, but write down 5 to 10 things that you like.
Sorry, I didn't get what we were doing.
So you take your piece of paper here, and you're going to split it in half long ways. And on one of those pieces of paper, you're going to write down 5 to 10 things that you like, whether that's food that you like, music you like, places you like to visit, people you like, TV shows you like, whatever it is. Just 5 to 10 things that you like. So everyone go ahead and do that real quick. We'll take about 2 minutes on this. So I'm going to write down mine. let's see. I like. All right, write down maybe one or two more, and then we'll move on to the next part of this. So the next part is to just take this list and copy it onto the second piece of paper. So write the same list again on the second piece of paper. Okay. So after you have your two lists, the next task, again, this is just another tool you can use for coming up with ideas for writing comedic sketches. So we have our two lists here, and just put them next to each other and see what interesting combinations you can get. So for example, I have on my list cooking, theme parks, the music of Ray Charles, hiking, spicy chicken wings, and gangster movies. So we might put these two together and say, okay, well then I'll come up with a sketch that is cooking with Ray Charles. That sounds like a fun idea for a sketch. Or maybe a theme park dedicated to spicy chicken wings. I think that would be fun. Or maybe we could do some going on a hiking trail to escape some gangsters. That might be a fun sketch. So yeah, so instead of trying to come up with ideas for sketches, you can think of other things, and then that can become your idea for your sketch. So I think cooking with Ray Charles sounds like a really fun sketch that I might actually write. And then I like the idea of a theme park dedicated to the theme of spicy chicken wings, I would definitely go to that. So, does anyone want to share a combo that they came up with? You can either type it in the chat or you can raise your hand. Is anybody there? I only see Heather Rose and Lily. Everyone so appalled by my chicken wing theme park idea that they turned off their cameras. All right. Okay, so we'll go on to the next activity. Let's see, just so we don't waste paper. The next thing is called. The next activity is called Pick 3 Things. So basically, we're just going to do that. So everybody type one thing into the chat box. Just one, anything. It could be a person, place, or a thing. Are you all hungry? There's a lot of food in this list. Okay, great. Excellent. So we have some things here. So now basically all we have to do is come up with a story that connects all of these things. So we have onion, hand, jelly beans, donuts, and Jupiter. So I'm going to say my idea for a sketch is you have a character who has onions for hands and lives on Jupiter, where they use jelly beans for currency, and there's a donut shortage. And so this person is having to collect as much jelly beans as they can so that they can stockpile donuts so that they'll have them when the shortage is going on. So that's my sketch. That's my first shot at connecting all of those things. So you can do that as well. You can pick random words out of a book and say, okay, there's now I have 5 words. Now I have to try to connect those words. You can try to just make yourself think of some random things, however you want to do it. But you give yourself, you can ask someone else for your 3 words. Just say, hey, give me 3 things. And then your job is to write a sketch that connects those 3 things. And I did that one very, very quickly. That was just like a first pass at it. But if I wrote that down, and then if I fleshed out the idea a little more, I might be able to come up with something that's kind of an interesting story, or kind of would be a funny idea for a sketch. All right, so this is the last one. And then I have a cartoon, because I always like to end by showing you guys a Chuck Jones cartoon if I can. So the last one, so we've gone over combining ideas, where you just list things that you like and then you try to combine them and see what you can come up with from that. We've done the draw on the top of the head thing. We've done pick 3 things. And then this last idea is, I just call it letting the absurd lead the way. And so basically what you do is you think of something, and then you try to think of something that is completely and utterly unrelated to that thing. So it might be, I'm thinking of a dolphin, and then something completely and totally unrelated to a dolphin. The top of Mount Everest. Okay, so now I have to try to come up with something that combines a dolphin and the top of Mount Everest. How do I write a sketch that has both of those things in it in some way? And there's a lot of cartoons that use this premise. Let's take Bugs Bunny and put him in a gangster movie. There's a great cartoon called Bugs and Thugs. Let's take Daffy Duck and make him Robin Hood. There's a great Daffy Duck as Robin Hood cartoon that you can check out. One of my favorites, I talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago, but this is one of my favorites. I think it's a really fun juxtaposition of just two random things put together. And so this one comes from the idea of what if we take Bugs Bunny and an Elmer Fudd, just regular Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd cartoon where Elmer Fudd is hunting after bugs, and we turn that into an opera. And so we'll take a look at this. This is one of my favorite cartoons. All right, so that cartoon is generally considered to be Chuck Jones's masterpiece. There was a poll that was taken by 1,000 members of the animation industry a few years ago, and they were ranking the 50 best cartoons of all time, and that one was number one of all time. I even have on my desk over here, I always have a little cardboard standee of Bugs from that cartoon. Well, that's our time for today. So we've covered comic sketches. We've talked about conflict, global conflict, interpersonal conflict, and inner conflict, and how that is the driving force behind our sketches. And then we've come up with some material generating ideas, drawing on top of our head, combining ideas, letting the absurd lead the way, and picking three things. That's it for today. Next week, we're going to be looking at Clash of Context and Comic Opposites, which is a little bit more of a deep dive into the combining ideas thing, or the letting the absurd lead the way thing, of putting opposites together and finding the comedy out of that. So that's what's up for next week. But this was fun, and please make sure that you go to the website and make a donation if you haven't. All the classes are donation based, so if you haven't done that yet, or you haven't told your parents about it yet, please make sure to do that. That's how we're able to keep offering these classes for free. But other than that, I hope to see all of you again next week. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.